Hi, welcome to Karen K Reviews. Today I am reviewing Abbott Elementary Season 3, Episode 4, Smoking. In this episode, Curtis, a student, is caught smoking a cigarette in the bathroom at school. While discussing it, the crew's conversation twists into the vices that they use personally, and they get recorded having this adult conversation, which gets posted on the internet for all of their students to see. Meanwhile, Janine struggles to accept the practices that Jessica, the substitute teacher in her room, is using. So these are my observations. I love how each season still brings back storylines from previous seasons. Barbara and her candles, and Jacob's beef with Morton, Melissa and the fireman, maybe, because she does love fire trucks, of course, and also Mr. Johnson still talking about those conspiracy theories. When the teachers were having their conversation about what they use recreationally, as a viewer, I was a little bit thrown off because we didn't know this information about some of the characters. It wasn't even hinted at. Barbara drinks, I remembered that from the last season, but it would have been a nice touch if we would have known some of these things beforehand. But then again, since we mostly see their work lives, it makes sense that sometimes things just wouldn't come up. I think also at work, we basically have to assume that if the door isn't closed, the kids can hear, and whatever we do could get posted to the internet. Also, more than likely, if this were the real world, Abbott probably would have been on the news or at least been investigated by the district for this because society tends to have saintly expectations of teachers. I feel like the recording of this discussion shows why the approach to discussing substances with kids is changing. They have access to the internet and find lots of voices, but they still need guidance in knowing who to actually listen to. Also, when I was a kid, we could have possibly overheard the conversation, but we didn't have the technology to record it and post it, so maybe we would have gossiped about it, but the actual proof of teachers using substances wouldn't have been posted for all to see. I can see why Janine was concerned about Jessica's teaching, but personally, when I'm not in my classroom, I leave behind tips and suggestions, but as long as they aren't harming anybody, the sub is an authority now. Also, I was glad that Barbara reminded Janine of her own teaching style, of how her own teaching style was viewed when she first started teaching. Honestly, to me, it almost seemed like being out of the classroom was already making Janine forget about nuance when it comes to teaching styles. Which brings me to my other point. Nuance was the theme for this episode. Nuance in instructional styles, and also nuance when it comes to having conversations about substances. But of course, maybe this isn't something that schools should really have to discuss with students. It's more of a parenting choice. However, as a parent, I feel that if I simply tell my kids all of these things are bad without explaining the why, I just feel like they will be more prone to fall into using and abusing substances. I like that the kids were shown having legitimate questions about substance use, but it sucks that, and it's realistic that these questions did not get answered. So, what are your opinions on this episode? Comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.